Chapter 1. We start off as we see a family of three looking surprised. As they look surprised, someone explains that somewhere in the quiet suburbs of Tokyo, a huge 60 tsubo lot was up for a surprisingly low price. But there was just one odd thing, this single clause in the sales contract. We see that the clause says, "The buyer, Party A, shall make every effort, without fail, to remain an ideal family, as expected by the seller, Party B." As we see a bunch of family photos, we see a man think that he's not sure what the criteria for being an ideal family are supposed to be, but I do love mine. In the scorching heat, as we hear the cicadas crying, we see the family of three looking surprised and happy. The father looks at a big house and thinks that this place is truly our home. As his eyes shine, he recalls working his ass off at a toy company that nearly went under more times than he can count. He closes his eyes and feels relieved as he thinks that, when he was terrified of losing his job, the ones who kept him going were always. As he thinks this, he looks at his wife who's congratulating him, and his son who's telling him that he rocks. The father starts tearing up, and he calls their names. Suddenly, someone interrupts this emotional event as they scream and say, "I'm really, really glad." The family gets startled as they hear this. The father offers this person a handkerchief as he thinks that this was supposed to be his turn to cry, though. Now we see that this person named Notori is crying his heart out as he apologizes to the father. Notori snorts and says that this moment right here, when a family sees their new home for the first time, is the happiest part of their job as realtors. As he says this, suddenly a bunch of clapping sounds start. The family sees that it's a bunch of people applauding them as they welcome the Tokido family to Miho Park Town. The father sees everyone clapping and cheering for them. Seeing this makes the father happy. He thinks that the vibe is kinda good. Suddenly, he looks at his wife as he recalls something and tells them that it's not much, but here's a little something to say hello. As he says this, the wife hurries and tries to get something out of her bag. The man replies and tells the father that he's got it all wrong. The clapping they did just now was sort of a local custom. Hearing this makes the son, Sakuto, confused. He asks them what they mean by custom. The man looks back and tells them that Notori's the one who handled every single house contract in this entire area. It's all thanks to him. As he says this, we see Notori playing with the kids. Hearing this shocks the father and the mother. The man grins and tells them that they're not just neighbors, they're sort of like comrades. Hearing the word comrades makes him feel included. Suddenly, Notori calls the father and congratulates him as he says that he knew he wasn't wrong about him. He's got it all now. As Notori says this, the father thinks that he has a good family, a good home, and good neighbors. As the sun shines brightly on the family, Notori tells them that the Tokitos are, without a doubt, the ideal family. Hearing all this makes the father tear up more. Notori remembers something and asks them if they mind if he took a quick photo. Hearing this confuses the father. Notori stands among them and smiles as they take the photo. Notori looks at it and says that it's for his most precious little collection, keepsake photos with every family he's helped find their dream home. Notori smiles as he tells them that he'll give them a tour of their new home. As he says this, he gets a ping on his phone. Seeing this phone notification confuses and shocks Notori. Notori starts sweating as he awkwardly laughs and tells them that he has another showing to do. They see Notori going off in his car. The father sees this and says that he's a weird dude. He can't tell if he's good at his job or completely hopeless. He turns around to everyone as he says, "Right, everyone?" But as he turns around, he sees that the neighbors have left. He looks surprised and confused to see that they've already gone. Suddenly, Sakuto seems to be pointing at something as he asks, "Do you think they were with them earlier?" We see that he's talking about their next-door neighbors. The mother looks at it in awe, as she thinks that it's a beautiful house and it's lovely. The father replies to Sakuto and tells him that maybe the next-door neighbors weren't there, as the house looks like it doesn't have anyone in it. They look at the mailbox and see that it's full. The father says that there's no nameplate either. It makes sense these days, as a lot of people don't put their nameplates out front for safety reasons. The father tells them that they should get unpacked now. The movers dropped everything off already. As they say this, we see eerie eyes watching the family as they move in. In the evening, in the same neighborhood, we see stairs to a basement as someone creepily pretends to be a family moving into a new home and praising the house. we see a naked man sitting at a table with an oil lamp and playing with some dolls as he says, "A home's the heart of a family, after all." We see that the dolls represent a father, son, and wife. The man sits in his house as he voices the dolls. Now, back to the Tokitoses' house. We see the dad looking surprised as he sees an airsoft gun and asks, "Isn't this Sakuto's airsoft gun?" He looks annoyed as he says that those movers dropped the ball again. Wrong box, wrong room. He even labeled everything. He sounds disappointed as he says that they get what they pay for. Suddenly, he notices something outside the window. He takes a peek and wonders if the folks next door still aren't home. He looks at the backyard and gets surprised at how big it is. He wonders how loaded they must be. He looks at a tree and wonders what kind of tree that is, as it's so beautiful. He walks out to the back and sees the tree up close. As he sees the tree, he notices that it bears shiny, good-looking blueberries. He looks at them in surprise and wonders if they're homegrown. He's never seen blueberries that look this good before. As he's looking at the berries in awe, suddenly he hears a squelch under his foot. He looks down and sees that he's stepped on a dead cat, which looks badly hurt. Seeing this scares him. He steps away as he screams. He wonders if this is a cat. This wasn't here this afternoon. He barfs in his mouth as he questions if this cat was killed. He feels bad for it, as he thinks who could do something like this. Suddenly, he notices something and his face goes pale. The next day morning, we see the father thinking about what Natori told him. As the dad recalls himself burying the cat, he thinks that waking up in the morning to a warm breakfast from a loving wife and a teenage son he can talk to about anything. Families like theirs are rare, is what he thinks. As they sit together to have dinner, he thinks that they're the very image of an ideal family. Now we see the dad walking to his work as he looks out of it and breathes heavily. He thinks that lately he's been feeling sick all the time. He wonders if it's the summer heat, maybe. It feels like there's more to it than that. Suddenly we see him puke right on the road as he can't control it. He cleans his mouth and keeps walking as he wonders if it's because he's getting old. Or maybe the grind's just wearing him down. He gets a gentle smile on his face as he thinks that he's been pushing himself pretty hard lately, all for the sake of an ideal family. As he says this, we see him looking at the house next door and think that he's never actually met the next door folks since they moved in. He thinks it's whatever, and it doesn't matter. He enters his home and sees the lights are off. As he walks in, he calls for his family and tells them that his boss wants to check out their new home. Nobody responds. He enters the living room as he asks them where they are. As he enters the room, he sees a bunch of blueberries on the dining table. He wonders if these blueberries are from the garden. He looks at them shine and reaches for them as he thinks that his throat is kind of dry. As he eats it, he is surprised at how good it is. As he's enjoying this, we see Natori right behind him with a creepy smile on his face. Now we see the dad tied up to a chair, which is on a tarp. The dad looks confused as he can't move himself. He wonders if he passed out. He thinks that the blueberries might have been spiked. Suddenly, he notices something. He sees that his wife and his son are also tied up to the chairs in front of him as they panic. We see Natori sitting right next to them as he says, "Now then, shall we have ourselves a little family meeting, dear Tokito family members?" They turn around and see Natori as he sits. The father sees him and gets shocked. He asks him why he's here. He screams and asks what the hell is going on here and tells him to take the bindings off him, right now. Natori speaks as he recalls, helping the family, and tells them that he's truly disappointed in them all. From finding their land, to planning their dream home, even the landscaping consultation, after all the time and effort he put into them, he honestly thought they were the ideal family. He continues and says that it's a shame that it was all a lie. This looks an awful lot like fraud to him now. Hearing this confuses the father. He screams and tells him to not talk crap about his family. He's way out of line. Suddenly, the dad looks shocked. We see that Natori is holding something small in his hand. Natori asks the father if he recognizes this. Natori tells him that this is the plastic pellet that was lodged inside the dead cat's eye. The father recalls seeing Sakuto's airsoft gun. Natori continues and tells the dad that he knew all along who did it, and yet he couldn't bring himself to face his son. As he says this, Sakuto starts sweating and breathing heavily. The father screams and asks, "So what? That's at worst just a fine, right? But what you're doing now, breaking in and holding us captive like this, is a crime." The father continues and says that Natori even drugged those blueberries. Natori replies and says, "Oh, please." He grins from end to end and points at his wife and says, "That's nothing compared to the poison your wife's been feeding you, though." Hearing this turns the wife pale. The dad can't believe this. Notori turns to the wife with a smile as he asks the dad, isn't he feeling unwell lately? Like insomnia, nausea, or maybe some dizzy spells. As he says this, the father looks at the wife biting her lips and looking scared. Notori continues and says that every single morning, that lovingly prepared breakfast his wife made for him had just a dash of unscented detergent mixed in. He asks the dad if he didn't notice. The dad suddenly starts barfing and puking. The son and wife cry as they see him like this. The dad sounds betrayed as he asks her why would she. He asks her, "We're an ideal family, aren't we? Why is this happening?" As his tears fall, he tells her that it's not too late. With a gentle smile on his face, he tells them that they can fix this if they all just come together. Suddenly, Notori speaks and says, "Who are you kidding?" Notori looks really angry and scary as he points at the dad and tells him that this whole thing's on him, the wife-beating piece of shit. Hearing this makes the father lose his mind. Notori goes close to the son and wife. Seeing his closeness scares them. Notori tells them that he did sense something was off. In that blistering heat, only his wife and son were wearing full sleeves. He pulls up the sleeve of the wife to reveal scars as he says that domestic violence rots the soul. We see that the dad beat the wife and son with a cloth hanger until their hands bled. As we see the image of them committing all these crimes, Notori explains that there are always people like him, all smiles in public, admired by everyone around. But behind closed doors, he rules his family through violence, his son's cruelty to animals, his wife's poison. Those were their psyche's defense mechanisms to survive his brutality. The father speaks and says, "Violence, you say? There's no such thing as violence in my family." With a sick and twisted smile, he asks, "That's love, isn't it?" Suddenly, Notori stabs a knife through his head with a straight face. Seeing this scares the shit out of the other two. Notori walks away nonchalantly as he says that they all say the same thing right before they die. Love. How many loving families has he had to put down by now, he wonders. As the dad is still alive, he turns to Notori and asks him how the hell does he know so much about them. Notori opens the blinds. As the next door house is behind his, he apologizes for the late introduction and tells them that he's their next door neighbor, Notori. Notori grabs the knife handle and tells them that he's been observing them all from next door this whole time. He notices that the father is dead. He pulls out the knife as he tells the father to rest assured. After all, a family is at its best when they stick together. He says this as he holds the knife and looks at the other two with great anger. We hear a bunch of gruesome sounds throughout the evening. Notori puts everything in the garbage bag as he claims that he's tired. He gets into the shower as he says that he'll clean up the rest tomorrow and wonders if there's still space left in the fridge. As he gets out of the shower, we see Notori standing in front of many other family photos, the same ones we saw in the start. As he sees them, he says that it was a failure. He starts going through the families one by one. The Mikawa family, both husband and wife worked full-time, talked less and less, then their marriage fell apart. In the end, they divorced. A failure. Fujinomiya family, they sent their grandmother with dementia, who had been living with them, off to a care home. A failure. Watanabe family, they didn't even show up to cheer for their beloved son's baseball game. Another failure. He talks about the recent family, the Taquito family. He investigated them for so long to make sure there were no red flags. He really thought this time would be the one. With pitch black eyes, he stands on top of a bunch of photos and says that the road to finding the ideal family is still a long one. He sounds hopeful, as he says that he's still not giving up. As we see the missing poster of the Taquito family on the community board, we see a cab come by. We see some people get out of the cab and look at the empty lot, as they say that this is really spacious. They walk around as they say that it's right next to a park, with nature all around. They say that they'll get plenty of sunlight this way, and they love it, and the surroundings really give off that calm, suburban Tokyo vibe. The neighbors all seem pretty easygoing too. We see a woman asking someone named Shunsaku, what does he think about this place? We see Shunsaku smoking as he says that it's nice, and the realtor even said this was his top recommendation. Suddenly, we hear Notori say, "My dearest members of the Sakuraba family, I believe a fulfilling life comes down to 3 things: a good family, a good home, and good neighbors." He brightly smiles and says, "So, let's all aim to become the ideal family, okay?" We see that he's found his new victims. And this is how this chapter ends. Hope you all enjoyed. Please like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment. Thank you.